Hey, this is MJ. I'm George, we're from the Raven Age, and you're watching Chaoszine.
Okay, so hello everyone, Chaoszine is today here at Nokia Arena in Tampere, Finland, and we have MJ and George from the band The Raven Age as guests.
Hey, man.
Hello guys, how's it going?
Yeah, good, man.
Very
How
good.
are you?
Very
All good, all good. You actually just did 2 big festivals in Germany. How did they go?
Yeah, we just did Rock am Park and Rock am Ring, and yeah, they were unbelievable. Rock am Park especially was, I think one of the best festival reactions we've ever had, and it was very unexpected because we were on fairly early in the day, and to kind of see that many people show up for our set, yeah, it was amazing. And Rock am Ring, quite an amazingly iconic place to have a festival.
It is.
And that I think by itself is like really, really awesome, just to kind of witness that and to see the racetrack as you're there. And the whole thing is very unique, I think. But yeah, all in all, very, very, very cool.
Obviously now the summer season is on and festivals are happening. So is there like some specific festivals that you are like your personal favorite ones in Europe?
What's yours?
I mean, actually, it probably would be those two. We played them before in like 2017, I think, and then we had a great time there. So we had the bar was quite high. We were thinking, are they going to live up to our expectations just because of the crowd reaction and everything last time, and they really did hit the mark. I think, like you said, Rock am Park's probably our best festival performance we've had. But also, I really enjoyed Grass Pop. We're playing there as well, and like the Metal Dome stage which we did before, which is really cool. Just a lot of the European festivals seem to be so well thought out, well organised. Everything runs smoothly. It's not panic. It's just you enjoy the festival, So it's looking forward to. We've got quite a few more coming up actually. We're doing our Basin Fire Fest and Heavy Load Festival, and Sweden Rocks. Yeah, that's gonna be good. That's next, right? I think. Yeah. So that should be
And obviously you have to mention always Download as a UK band.
Yeah, I mean, Downloads are really. So it's an interesting one. It's rough around the edges. It's certainly not a perfect festival, but it's very, again, iconic, and it's like the heritage of metal music. I think is so big there. It's like the kind of scene is like the Mecca or the home of British metal bands. It's where, and I think for that reason we were very, very fortunate to do the main stage last year, and yeah, it was a very special occasion for us. I think. There was quite a few special festivals we did that summer. That was we did Rockfest in Finland, which was unbelievable, and just my personal favourite. I like Grass Pop as well. There's what's the one beginning with a V?
Nova Rock.
Nova Rock, and the VOA festival we did in Portugal. That was pretty awesome.
That was awesome.
That was really cool. Oh, and the one in Spain, the one that's like overlooking the beach.
Resurrection Fest.
Resurrection Fest. Do you know, I tell you what, if you can withstand the heat, my God. That's a good one to get your kit off for anyway.
So obviously now you're here today to play with the legendary Iron Maiden, and obviously you have already played 2 shows with them and most likely witnessed the Future Past show. So what's your opinion?
Of the Future Past show?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, we're both huge Maiden fans as well, so like to kind of a lot of this stuff they've not played in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously Alexander the Great is one of them.
Yeah, like just stuff from the, no spoilers obviously because everyone knows now, but like, the intro, Caught Somewhere in Time, Stranger in a Strange Land, just those songs I've never seen them live before, I don't think. Not that I can remember anyway. And Alexander the Great. It's just the new setup is like taking a bit of a step into sort of a little bit more modern, obviously with the kind of Blade Runner theme and that. And yeah, I just think it totally works.
What's your like personal favorite Maiden tour that you have witnessed? Obviously, you've seen quite a lot of them being handful, because of your dad. But
oh God, I think. I'm trying to think if there's anything when I was like really young that I can actually remember, but probably the Made in England tour I thought was really cool.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was like the first time they went back to like the Seventh Son sort of setup, and like just the you know, the eddies they had on stage for Seventh Son and the Clairvoyant and stuff like that. I thought that was really impressive. Legacy of the Beast, you know, you can't really. It's hard to top just because it's like a greatest hits kind of tour, and they brought out all the stops with like the Aces High, the Plane, and all that stuff, and that was really cool. But you know, I like that this one's different as well. It's not just kind of followed on from Legacy of the Beast. They've changed it. They've got video wars, that sort of thing, and I think it's really cool.
So obviously you are also about to release a new album entitled Blood Omen, and it's gonna be out on July 7th. I need to check from through Sony Music. So what kind of like experience it was for you to make the album?
Well, it's Blood Omen. So it's a long time coming. I mean, we haven't released the follow up to Conspiracy, our second album. That was in 2019, beginning of 2019, and we started like promoting it in 2018. So it's quite a big gap for us for a third proper album.
But obviously times were what they were.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the reason why we brought out Exiles, a little kind of stopgap in between. But it's something that we're very, very proud of. It's the songs in the way, had we not had the pandemic and had the timeline just continued as it were, I think it would have ended up being a very different album. So the very fact that it's turned out to be the album that it now is kind of like a blessing in disguise, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You know, and I think the songs as a collective, it's the strongest body of work we've ever released. I think the melodies are really, really strong, and that's what we've always tried to focus on as a band, the melody aspect. But there's also a slightly more traditional metal quality to it, I think, as well. There's a lot of more kind of like open parts, which are, you know, maybe less techie and complicated, but more kind of, I don't know, easy to kind of
melody driven.
Melody driven,
I think we've thought about. I think it's kind of happened naturally as you get older. You kind of mature a bit in your songwriting.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about the song a bit more rather than let's just play some metal, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of reflects in this album. It's heavy as well, but it's very melody based.
Yeah.
I feel after listening to the album that you have sort of founded you on that album. Do you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, you know, it's like MJ said, when he joined the band, we rushed straight into the studio and did Conspiracy, and we didn't really get a chance to kind of, you know, find out each other's strengths and stuff like that. And this album, we've had the time to do that. Obviously, we've been with him for a long time now. We've got Tommy on the guitar. It just feels, and it's a bit more of a collaboration as well between all of us.
Okay.
I feel like the sound, like you said, I feel like we've kind of found our sound. We spent obviously a lot more time in the studio kind of perfecting things, and we got the chance to use live strings on this album, which is something we've never been able to do before. And another thing, we got to work with Mickey Usilla, obviously from Finvox Studios, which was to master the album, which was another, you know, it was like the icing on the cake type thing. So
it's a big tick box moment.
So for you, it's the second album with the band. So I guess you were like more confident getting into this one than the previous one.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't confident in the first one. It was more just because a lot of the songs had kind of already been written the first time I came in. So I came in and I did put my stamp on it the best way I could, and we changed the key to a lot of songs and made it a bit higher. And I think there was something really great about the spontaneity of it from my perspective, that album. I didn't have time to think about it. I just kind of, it was more reactive, you know, so that was really, really cool. But I suppose with this one, we've played. It seems weird actually when we say that this is essentially my second album, full album, because it feels like it's been years in which. But it's great. You know, me and George, I think, work really well together, like as a writing partnership, and we just kind of seem to agree on most things creatively, but we still attack things from different angles. So you know, I'm very, very pleased with how it has turned out.
And I guess the more you play live, the more you sort of also know what fits for the band.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing that we've mentioned this quite a few times before is we seem to amalgamate these two different styles of traditional metal and modern metal, and I think that's kind of like whatever, you know, people would say our sound is. I think that's probably the best explanation for it, of what we're, you know, trying to do.
Did you had like a clear vision where you wanted to go from Conspiracy for this album, or? does that always happen like very naturally for
Yeah.
you when you start the writing process?
I think has happened quite naturally, hasn't it?
Like we've never really, as a band, sat down and said, right, guys, we need to be more like this, or we want to be more commercial, or we want to do a heavy song now, or anything like that. What comes out, and then we kind of figure it out what's working best, and and try and figure it out to dynamically within an album. That's kind of just how it goes. We've just never really worked like that in terms of. For me, I don't know about you, but I can never really force anything out.
No,
like
it
it's
doesn't
just
work.
have a natural style. And like MJ said, like the guys in the band, we have different writing styles, which seem to complement each other. Which it just kind of works out.
Yeah, I mean I think as soon as you try to force something, I mean maybe in our younger years, starting out writing, you think, oh, I want to sound like this band, or if you're into, let's do a Metallica song, or let's do those guys, they do that great themselves, as soon as you start to try and fit into like a niche,
Yeah.
I just think it sounds false, and I don't know, it just I think we get to the point now where we write music that's essentially, oh, that's a cool thing, that's a good idea, and then we just see it's like unraveling a ball of yarn. You just see where it kind of takes you, and that's the best way.
Like sometimes one of us will come up with an idea, and you go, I mean, your initial reaction is, I'm not sure that's, that's like a rock song. Is it like a metal song? I'm not sure. Maybe it could be, but if we get together and play it, it still sounds like us.
The Raven Age, yeah.
So that's kind of how it goes. We don't really sort of worry too much about that. Oh, this sounds like it could be a bit too sort of soft or anything. Just get in the studio, play it. It's going to sound like us once we get into it and go from there.
But I think you were also a bit pushing your own boundaries with this album, like musically. There's quite a lot of like also new sort of like ways for you to make music.
Yeah, I mean, there's different styles on it as well. Like, I think, if you take the first single, for example, Parasite, that's quite a good example of this collaboration of different musical styles, because it was there's bits or ideas from each kind of member. George had an idea for something, and then I'd have an idea, and Tommy kind of helped take a lot of the guitar solos on this album to a much higher level, musically speaking, than what we've ever done before. So when you've got different perspectives coming out from all those different angles, sometimes you got to think, oh, how are we going to fit all this together in one song? And it can be quite hard. But I think it's exciting to push the boundaries of what you've done in the past. Not to be in a box and try and test yourself as much as can. If we've done that with this album, then that's pretty good.
So obviously you have grown quite a lot also as a band now, playing, for example, in big festivals and such. So how much do you think about that when you're making new songs? That they also need to carry you more alive than they were, like, for example, 5 years ago when you were playing in small clubs or something like that?
It's interesting. Sorry, I was just going to say, like, sometimes you write a song that you think, love this song, and sometimes it doesn't always translate live.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that can be. But then you have other songs that maybe not the best song on the album, but work really great live. And it's only when we play these songs, like a lot of these songs we're playing for the first time on this tour, and we're kind of learning with the crowd on how they're going down, essentially, and how they're working as live songs.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a strange one, trying to figure out what's going to work well live. And again, like, I personally have never really gone into thinking, we need to write for the live thing, or we're going further up the festival bill, so we need to write, like, I don't know, songs that people can jump to or anything like that. It's just kind of natural writing style comes out, and kind of, if it works, it works.
But I guess you also know a little bit by experience now what works live and what not. Obviously, live audience is something that you cannot like read completely, never.
No.
But still, you kind of know that what maybe works and what maybe doesn't work.
Because the more songs you have, like, as a band, we've now got 3 full albums worth. It's now like, okay, it's tougher to pick which songs are going to work. But now, like you said, we've had enough experience to realise what songs we need to keep in our set. So these ones definitely work. Like these get the crowd engaged, and then it gives you a bit of a better idea of okay, which new ones are going to work, and dynamically the set's going to flow. And so far so good.
There are some songs we can't leave out of the set now. Like there's a few that helps, you know. So like songs like Fleur de Lis, Seventh Heaven, Angel. You know, these kind of songs have always like we keep them in the set, and then we kind of plan around them.
Yeah.
But when you have played them through like 3,000 times, then you might have changed your opinion.
I mean, yeah. I mean, talk about bands like Maiden who've been playing Iron Maiden for
Few times.
many. Yeah. I'm sure.
Metallica are not going to play Enter Sandman.
Enter Sandman. Yeah, it's just one of those things. And do you know what? If it you know, it brings people happiness and they enjoy to hear it, because there are some people, we have to remember, there are some people, a lot of people, that when they see us are seeing us for the first time, so they never would have heard these songs live.
Yeah.
And we've got to look at it from that perspective, I think.
I was actually just like calling Timo Kotifelto, who sings in Stratovarius, last week. He's a good friend of mine. He was planning like an acoustic tour, and I like asked him on the phone that you'll probably have to play like Black Diamond, because that's something that fans want to hear. That I guess you're like very bored to like sing that song over and over and over, even on acoustic tours. Yeah. And he was like, "No, I won't, because that's the song that all the fans want to hear.
Yeah.
If I won't play it, they will be very disappointed after the show.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm an entertainer, so I need to play what people want to hear from me.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand also that side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, there is that thing of personally, if you're sitting in a room playing that song over and over on your own, pretty boring. But like when the crowd know the song and you're feeding off the energy.
Yeah, for sure.
It still makes it fun.
Yeah.
So obviously the album was produced by Matt Hyde. So what kind of experience it was to work with him, and what kind of producer fits best for you? Do you need a guy who like has a lot of opinions, or do you need a guy who is more like just like fulfilling your ideas to the album? And what kind of producer works best for you guys?
Well, we've worked with Matt a couple of times now. So Matt did the Conspiracy record as well. The great thing about Matt is we're constantly changing our minds with things as during the writing process and the recording process. So some producers, some engineers would be like, no, I'm not doing any more changes, we're not doing that. And you know, but Matt is very, very patient with us, and he allows us to kind of do our own thing, because we work out of our own studio, and we kind of when we're done with stuff, we send it off to him. Obviously he comes in and does the drums and all that kind of stuff, and he helps us out when we need to do guitars in terms of tones and things. But when that's done, he leaves us to it, and we kind of lock ourselves away, and we record, usually me and George, in a very dark room for hours and hours and hours on end. And then we think we've got something, and then we hear it back and we go, actually, Matt, can we change this? And 9 times out of 10, I mean, when it gets to like mix number 50, he starts to get a bit, okay guys, let's leave it alone now. Let's leave the song alone. But he's great. He's a great producer. He's a very modern producer, I think, but he still understands the kind of traditional forms of rock and metal, which is very important.
But he still shares his opinion about those kind of, if you are like experimenting with some certain part of a song, he says that I think this is the best option for this.
100%.
Yeah, he does, and he does have good ideas and good opinions, which is why we like working with him. But the good thing is he will give us his honest opinion on things, but he will, if we decide to say, look, I understand what you're saying, but this is what we want to do, he'll let us do it.
Yeah.
So he's very, very much allows. I think that's where we don't really like letting go. Me and MJ has particularly struggled to let go of it, because it's like so very much involved in the whole process. Sometimes it's tough to just go, oh yeah, go on, you do it, and we'll be like, we want to, So we tend to go down into his studio and sit with him and kind of mix with him. So it's just like it's like a collaborative experience,
like an extra band member in a way. But it's not just him by himself mixing an album. It's us doing it like as a collective kind of thing.
Yeah, and I still feel that it's good that you have the sort of like final like decision making to do, because if the producer would always say what's like his opinion and his vision, those albums would turn out the same, that what comes out from that specific producer, and I don't see that as a good thing.
I mean, it can work with. I mean, it's just not our particular style. You know, for example, I forgot the Rick Rubin.
Yeah,
he's obviously a very hands-on producer, and he does things, you know, very much his way, and that works because the guy's obviously been very, very successful with so many bands. And I think if you're going to work with a producer like that, then you've got to be willing to trust his opinion and kind of almost relinquish part of control, even if you don't always agree with his opinion. And I think sometimes that's great. I just think for us in this particular phase of our career, we're kind of like, well, this is us establishing our sound, like we spoke about earlier. So I feel like we've got to be more involved in that decision making than the producer in that regard.
So obviously there's been like now also recently quite a lot of talk about backing tracks being used on live shows. So what's actually your take on the subject? What's like good usage of backing tracks?
Well, the thing is, it's become like a new thing, but people have been using samples and backing tracks for decades.
Forever, yeah.
You know, this is only just because of social media. This is becoming a thing because people see laptops and they just think, oh, you know, it's not live. But if, for example, we use strings and pads and stuff ourselves in our lives, because otherwise we'd have to bring out a 30-piece orchestra every time we play.
But that's like completely understandable.
It's impossible. You know, we can't do it. And you know, we pride ourselves on being a good we think a good live band. You know, we have 3 strong singers in the band, and you know, we're all strong musicians. We use a click track, which is something that I think a lot of bands do, because when you play this kind of metal music, you need to really hone in on what it is you're doing.
Yeah,
and that's it really. You know, there's as I said, like we've used strings and like synth parts since the beginning. And it makes, for us, in our opinion, it makes the sound for the audience that much bigger. Otherwise, we've got to bring out another, as I said, 20, 30 people.
That would be quite expensive.
And it's already expensive enough as it is. This is obviously in a day where touring is more expensive than ever for bands.
Yeah,
this is just a necessary thing in order to give the biggest sounding show humanly possible. But it's still a band playing. You know, every you know, we're still a live band.
Yeah.
You know,
if you fuck up, you're gonna hear it.
We do.
You do hear it.
And you do hear it. Yeah.
So after putting out the album, there will be your own proper headlining tour, and it will be also coming to Finland, and it will be your first headline show in Finland. So what can the fans expect?
Well, obviously our album's coming out in the summer, so it's going to be our first headline tour, proper headline tour since, again, like our previous album, Conspiracy One, which is great. We're getting, you know, quite a lot of good exposure on this tour. We're doing the festivals, and we've got that energy and excitement again. Now we've got a new album coming out, and we're just excited to play these new songs, excited for people to hear it, and there's nothing, you can't beat playing to a room with people who know the songs and they're singing back to you. So very, very much looking forward to that. And I don't know, to be honest, it's been, like you said, it'll be our first one, so who knows, we'll see how it goes.
Hopefully good.
Yeah, we can't, I mean, we seem, the times that we've have come to Finland we did the festival, the rock festival. We headlined one of the smaller stages, and it was great to see the kind of response for us here. So hopefully, I mean, Maiden crowds are very unique though. I will say that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, tonight we'll get the same kind of reaction.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
At least people were like digging Lord of the Lost yesterday when they opened.
Oh,
nice.
Good. Well, that's good to know.
So hey, thanks a lot for the both of you for doing the interview with me, and all the best for tonight's show as well as for the future. Anything you want to say so closer to all the fans?
We love it here, and we're going to be out on tour in Finland in October.
Yeah, I think it was 23rd of October. Hopefully.
23rd.
Yeah. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, we can't wait. And Blood Omen comes out 7th of July, and yeah, we're excited to come back. Is that right?
I'm trying to see if it's
like
23rd.
microscopically small.
I can't find it. Anyway,
We're coming back. Some point in
13th.
October.
13th.
Ah, okay.
13th.
Okay.
Nearly.
My fuck up. My fuck up. Blame on me. Hey, thanks guys a lot.
Thank you. Cheers,
Thank
man.
you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.